What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we got another Voidtober special extravaganza for you this Halloween season with a spoiler-free review of a movie coming out on the 20th called Malibu Horror Story.
It's party time, yeah! These evil people have just got to be stopped.
It's Voidtober! Malibu Horror Story is a movie that I did a little bit of research on because it's got an interesting backstory. Now, before I get into what this movie's about, I want you to know that this is a movie that has taken about 12 years to make. It originally got started as a found footage film. There was some issues with that. They kind of couldn't get the support that they wanted to for this found footage film, and so they kind of set it on the back burner and decided to reuse the footage by adding a paranormal investigator team to the mix. Done in a movie sense, so this isn't a found footage way, we're not watching it through that, but they have footage that they got, copy of it, and we're basically watching them do a documentary about the found footage that they originally shot. So we got these three parts that are kind of working as a movie. So we're experiencing it as a movie of these paranormal investigators who are doing a documentary of the found footage that they shot originally. Catching up? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So essentially, the story of this movie is about a group of paranormal investigators who are investigating a lost group of guys who were out to make a documentary themselves about some strange occurrences in the Malibu area. And they decided to go out there on their own with their cameras, and something bad happens that causes them to disappear. And they find some of the cameras and the footage and stuff through this investigation that happened, but nobody ever really understood what happened with them. And some of the cops found the footage and shared it with everybody, but they saw like partying going on in the original tapes. So they kind of thought that it was like they just got drunk and did some dumb stuff, so people kind of lost interest. Well, this paranormal investigative team is actually interested, and they got a copy of the footage, and they see some Easter eggs, some things inside of that footage that leads them to believe that there is some sort of paranormal activity going on in this cave, where it is an old native cave with Native American writings on the wall and different things than they've seen. Once they go investigating what happened to these four guys, it seems like the story finds them and gets very, very interesting. Now, of course, this is a supernatural film, so there are some supernatural elements in it that you might like. There are cool shots that are in it I still liked, and a couple of bloody moments that'll satiate quite a few of you. There's some pretty cool imagery like that they do with it as well, too. It almost gave me the vibe of As Above, So Below, which kind of rides that thing a little bit. With the storytelling and the lore and the vibe and kind of the shots that they took with it, because they do some pretty weird supernatural things in it that you wouldn't normally see in a lot of films. But yeah, overall, though, it just kind of didn't work 100% for me. It felt kind of like obligatory in some spots. Obviously it follows in the story, but yeah, it just, I don't know. Maybe the lack of atmosphere that I was getting was taking away from those moments. Also, this movie did have a showing like a year ago at a festival. Like they had the movie come out and people got to see it and review it even. And now it's getting put out today, which I don't know why that is, but that's part of its history. I feel like all of the working pieces that we pieced together for this movie over 12 years, which is admirable, and I admire that they actually never gave up, but I feel like a lot of these moving pieces are at odds with one another. Like, I was interested in the found footage part. I like that they added that sort of newscaster. They even have a real news anchor I forget his name, but he was a KTLA newscaster, and he's been in a bunch of movies. And they use that footage, kind of like in the movie, if you've ever seen the found footage film, that's sort of a documentary called Horror in the High Desert. That was a movie that kind of had like a documentary where they investigated people about this particular video footage that they found. And then by the end, you get to see the video footage and experience what happened. And a lot of people really liked it. It was a lo-fi, low-budget film. Well, these guys decided to kind of make some sort of hybrid thing, and I feel like some of the parts don't work with the other parts, and it does feel separate a little bit, which kind of took me in and out of the movie. I also feel like some of those segments where they're doing the newscasting to give it that authenticity, I think kind of missed a little bit. I did like the one from the guy from KTLA. I feel like that added to it, but they were intercutting it with these paranormal investigators who were doing some sort of dialogue with it, with them in the like standing in front of the camera. And I personally don't think that it needed that. I think they could have just done an interview style where they were interviewing people and it would have brought a little bit more authenticity to it, you know? But it just kind of felt a little all over the place for me. And I hate to say that because like I root for people who are making a movie over 12 years and never gave up. Who doesn't root for something like that? I'm a fucking horror fan, for Christ's sake. I've seen many horror movies that have, you know, taken years to come out and finally do. That should be applauded, and I appreciate it. But unfortunately, I just didn't connect with some of the material. A lot of the paranormal investigative team felt a little stiff, and it, you know, because we're the viewer watching a movie, like a movie, so it's not supposed to be found footage. We're watching this paranormal investigative team who is doing a documentary that is about this found footage that they found. So it's got this 3 layers of meta, and I just feel like it's at odds with one another a little bit. Now, when things go haywire and the paranormal investigative team is watching some of their footage, they notice something new and things start going crazy. It does get a little bit better, and I did find that a little bit more interesting, but I wasn't really locked in. Like the atmosphere wasn't there, the story building that they needed with this original found footage stuff I did find a little bit of interest in, like just the found footage itself, but the in-between sort of dialogue and needed to be a little bit stronger to build towards this atmospheric sort of thing that was going to pop off at the end with this paranormal investigative team. It seems like right in the beginning, you're introduced to the paranormal investigative team, and quickly it turns into, hey, let's have drinks. And then they watch their tape that they've been editing of this found footage. And that's kind of how you're brought into this whole thing. And then it brings us back to the cave with the paranormal investigators. And that's where it kind of loses itself a little bit. There are some cool things that do happen in it that I did enjoy a little bit, but on the surface, while it seems clever what they did here, it feels like it's patched together a little bit for me. And it sucks that I feel that way because there's a lot of people that are really enjoying this. And perhaps maybe I'm just one of the rare few who don't congeal with all the parts putting together. I feel like it's a noble effort. I think it's a great idea that they were able to salvage it. But again, it just didn't work for me 100%. There are some native sort of lore in this movie that I did find interesting, but some of the stuff that was in it, even though they may have been the first to do this with this type of footage, felt borrowed because it's already been done in some areas, which sucks because technically they used one of the characters in the film to do a specific thing in the movie that you might have seen in other films. As an example, one of the character actors who does a lot of physical body work is Troy James, and he's fantastic. Like, he's just a fantastic actor. This is the first movie that he did before things blew up for him. So if you understand what I'm saying, like some of the techniques and things that he did there were the earliest inklings of what he's already done in other movies. So it kind of works and doesn't work. I admire, again, this film, and I really wish I would have liked it a lot more than I did. I didn't hate the film. It just didn't go there for me, and I really feel like it needed to have that atmosphere with it. But you know, there might be people out there who might like it. If you are a fan of horror in the high desert, maybe you might be as critical as I might have been with this movie and you'll understand what I'm saying, or maybe it'll just all fall into place for you. But it's gotten a lot of reviews from people who really enjoy it, who actually saw it. It got a lot of awards, a lot of the festivals, and I just feel like I missed out. And maybe I need to rewatch it again a second time to really get a good vibe for it. But usually that doesn't change my score as much. But I gotta be honest with you guys, and that's just how I feel. I unfortunately was not a huge fan of it. I would probably give this movie like a 5.5, maybe a 6 out of 10, because I did like how ingenious it was to try to patch all of this together. But a lot of the jump scares really kind of pulled me out and took away from sort of that authenticity that I was really hoping for. I felt like there was a really good story in there that could have really gestated inside of me and been built narratively to the end to make me feel a little bit more uncomfortable or feel like I'm unsafe in this film. But at no point did I get to that, and that's unfortunate. But, you know, not everybody is going to enjoy every movie. Not every movie is made for everybody. So hopefully this is a movie that's made for you, because I was rooting for it the whole time. And I hope that it is something that you guys enjoy too. I would definitely like to see what Scott Sloan, who is the writer and director of this, has to do next, and I hope he gets a shot to do another film. And I'm curious to see what he decides to do. Is he going to do just a regular narrative story or go for found footage? But I think it might be good to see him focus on one. But that's just my opinion. These are just my thoughts. Everybody's a little bit different. But I hope this helps give you kind of an idea what I thought. You know, my taste is not the same as everybody's. So just understand that, you know, I encourage everybody that comes to this channel to let me know what they think about the film, and we don't always see eye to eye, but we all love horror. So thank you so much, Shinehouse, for letting me have an opportunity to check this film out. If you want to check this movie out, it's coming out to theaters on the 20th in October. I don't know how long it's going to be out there, but if you want to check it out, check your theater listings for the 20th of Malibu Horror Story. But other than that, thank you guys so much for coming by. I hope you're enjoying Voidtober. I got a lot of stuff going on. We got a podcast that just came out this week for Ghoulies 3 and Night of the Demons 3 that we do kind of a retrospective on, and we get drunk on. So check that out if you haven't already and listen to that episode. It was a lot of fun. But we got more on the way. Thanks again, and as always, long live the void.